What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Bamainsider YouTube channel, a Tuesday night. And you know what it means on Tuesday is recruiting with Andrew Bone. We appreciate all you guys for hanging out with us. We're going to talk Alabama recruiting with the Iron Bowl coming up on Saturday. A lot of things going on in the world of college football, potential coaches changes in the SEC. You know, what does that mean for the Crimson Tide? But before we get into everything going on with Alabama recruiting and our good buddy Andrew Bone, let me remind you guys that you need to like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the bell. That's a way to know that we're here and we got a show for you. And the thumbs up's a way of saying roll tide. Appreciate all of you guys for doing that and being part of it. And being part of it is being part of where we're going right now. Team coverage has changed. We're the change, right? I mean, this is the new world order of team coverage, and it's in the process of becoming the best ever, and we want you guys to be there from the very beginning, and that's why we're offering you Bama on 3, a deal that you can't resist, $10 for an entire year. That's recruiting with Andrew Bone. That's the team coverage with Clint Lamb, the message boards, all that stuff, plus all the great national coverage as well. And if you're saying, well, you know what, $10 for a year, I mean, that's, you know, this economy. Look, $1 for 4 months just to check it out. So to take advantage of that while you got the opportunity. Happy Thanksgiving, Bone. How you been, brother?
Happy Thanksgiving, Mick. Happy Thanksgiving to Chris behind the scenes and to everybody that's watching our show. I hope you all have a great week and enjoy it, regardless of what you're doing. And also a special shout out to our military all around the world that's that's watching our show and that can't be with their families this holiday season. Thank you for watching over us and protecting our freedom. So we appreciate that, and we always think about you. But what we're thinking about tonight, Mick, is the Iron Bowl. I mean, so we always have Thanksgiving, but we also always have the Iron Bowl. So we're always working during this week. And, there's obviously a lot of big name recruits that are going to be coming into Tuscaloosa. A lot of excitement, with these last few weeks heading into the early signing period. A lot of different things that can change, that can take place. I mean, there's so many different scenarios that can happen over the course of the next 4 weeks. It's going to be interesting to kind of see how it all plays out. But this is a big weekend for Alabama. Getting a lot of its top targets on campus. Final regular season game of the season, and maybe one of the final times that some of these kids visit Alabama before they make their college commitments. So we'll see kind of what happens, but big visit weekend ahead for the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, well, you talk about the Iron Bowl and a lot of big name in-state guys we expect to be there. Let's just start with who you expect to be in town for the Iron Bowl. And let's just start with the guys that are in state, and maybe just who we kind of think are going to be coming to Alabama. And then let's get into some of the battles going on between Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah, well, the good news for Alabama is the majority of its commitments will be back in town for the game. And a lot of those guys are in state. And I think, one of the biggest things, you're going to have a lot of, not a lot, but a few official visitors that are going to be on campus this week. And as we've discussed in previous shows, the difference between an official visitor and an unofficial visitor is you're getting your whole trip paid for on the official visit. You're getting a hotel room. You're getting, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're getting to tour the campus and, really go in depth a little bit more about what the university has to offer. You get breakfast over at Coach Saban's house on Sunday. And, it's really kind of, one of those final times that Alabama can get a kid on campus and really sell itself and sell the program. But they're going to have some of their top commitments on campus for official visits. That's going to include Tony Mitchell from Thompson High School. You're also going to have Jahil Hurley, 5-star cornerback out of Florence High School. But there's also going to be one uncommitted player from the state of Florida, Jaron Hamilton, 4-star wide receiver out of Gainesville. He's going to be taking his official visit to Alabama this weekend. Jaren's definitely somebody that we're going to be watching really closely after his official visit, because he hasn't taken any other official visits. This was his only official visit date that he has scheduled. Now, he's visited Florida a few times this fall. I think he's actually been to all of Florida's home games this season, but Florida's not really on his short list. It was kind of easy for him to get over there. It's all families, all Florida fans. They get free, or he gets free tickets from the Florida coaching staff to come over to the games. But they're not really a top contender in his recruitment. And as of right now, I really like Alabama's chances of getting Jaren Hamilton. We're going to be, like I said, we're going to be watching things with him pretty closely after this weekend, because this could be a weekend where he may decide to go ahead and jump on board. And definitely somebody that they want. He was offered during the summer. He's come back to Tuscaloosa 2 other occasions, including the Cookout in July and also the Texas A&M game. So this will be his 4th overall trip to Alabama. Could get a big commitment from Jaren Hamilton this weekend. But going back to in-state wise, a lot of commitments that are going to be in town, but 3 guys in particular that we're going to be watching pretty closely. Really over the course of the next 4 weeks, the top 2 players in the state, Quay Rousseau and James Smith, 2 Carver High School teammates, both 5-star recruits. James Smith rated in that top 10 overall in the country, and Quay rated, I believe, number 25 overall according to On3 Sports. These are 2 guys that Alabama has really pressed for a long time. Really ever since last season, and even before that. These are 2 guys that they don't want to miss on, because we've talked about some guys in state that they have missed on this cycle. They missed on Peter Woods, missed on Kelby Collins. They don't want to miss on anymore. They want to land their top end guys, and these are guys that have been at the top of their wish list for a very, very long time now. On the flip side of that, Auburn is also on that short list. They, really like Auburn a lot. Been to campus numerous times. I think they went to 3 games down there this football season, and Auburn's done a great job. Regardless of not having a current head coach. Well, I guess they got an interim head coach in Cadillac, but still looking to name their next head coach, and that's going to probably be a pretty important factor in their recruitment. So they're still waiting to see who's going to be that next head coach at Auburn. But right now, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, all on the short list for Quay Rousseau and James Smith. So definitely 2 guys that are going to have a fun few weeks, during this contact period that starts on December the 2nd. A lot of coaches are going to be visiting their school, visiting their homes, sitting down with them, trying to sell their program and sell themselves, and trying to get these kids on board. They're going to announce their decision on December the 21st, and as of right now, both are 100% expected to play together. So one school is going to get 2 5-stars, out of Carver High School this year, and definitely, Alabama definitely hopes that it's them. So getting them on campus again this weekend, obviously very big. Another kid that is also going to be in town that is committed elsewhere is Kelby Collins, 4-star defensive lineman out of Gardendale, committed to Florida. Now, I think a lot of people at the time, now we weren't on our end, but I think, from if you're just kind of a casual recruiting follower, especially with Kelby, Peter Woods, when those guys made their decisions to go out of state, a lot of people were completely shocked. Now, Kelby has, kept the door open for Alabama. Peter Woods, on the other hand, hasn't taken any other visits. He's pretty solid with Clemson, but we know Alabama's going to still recruit him, and I'm sure they'd love to get him back on campus this weekend. But as of right now, that's not going to happen. But Kelby is coming back. This will be his 2nd trip to Alabama this football season. He was also at the Tides game against Texas A&M back in October, and this is just another unofficial visit for him. So fact is, he can still take an official visit in December. He still has that available. So we're going to wait and see if he does schedule an official in December. He has not confirmed a date yet. He has mentioned that he is most likely going to take an official, but definitely somebody that we're going to continue to watch. So that's kind of a look at your top in-state guys who are going to be on campus this weekend, especially guys that Alabama is still going after, that they're really pushing hard for, that they would love to land. But there's also some big names out of state who are going to be in Tuscaloosa. One guy in particular, Lawson Lucky, 4-star tight end out of Georgia, out of Norcross High School in Georgia. Committed to the University of Georgia. His father played at Georgia, so always one of the tougher recruitments to go after. Especially with a kid living in Georgia. Father played at Georgia. Grew up a Georgia fan, but guess what? Alabama's already been able to do that this recruiting cycle by landing Justice Haynes. They can. They've proven that they can go out there and do it. I think with Lawson Lucky, definitely somebody that Alabama has recruited really since last January. That's when he received his offer. They've been talking a lot. He's visited several times. I think he's visited 4 total times, including the Texas A&M game last month. So we'll see. I mean, I still think it's kind of an uphill battle to flip him away from the Bulldogs, especially with the way that they've been producing tight ends over the last several years, and they've done a great job of recruiting him. But I think with Lawson, as of right now, they already have another tight end that's committed to him. Georgia's going after a pretty important target on their recruiting board in Deuce Robinson, the 5-star tight end out of Arizona. Also a guy who visited Alabama for an official visit last month. But I don't think that Alabama's going to end up getting him. I think Alabama's on the outside looking in, whereas Georgia does have a very legitimate chance to land Deuce Robinson. I think they're probably in his top 2, top 3. His decision could potentially affect Lawson Lucky, and it could potentially push him a little bit more to Alabama. So we'll see how that all plays out over the course of the next 4 weeks. But Lawson Lucky, definitely somebody that Alabama fans need to continue to watch, even though he is a Georgia legacy and committed to the Bulldogs. And then one other guy that I wanted to mention, because there's a lot of names that right now they're kind of on the fence about coming to Tuscaloosa this weekend. They haven't necessarily decided if they're going to visit. Some of those names include Arian Carter, 4-star linebacker out of Tennessee, Centarian Perkins, the Ole Miss linebacker commitment, Desmond Ricks, 5-star cornerback out of IMG Academy, is also saying that he's not 100% sure. So I really don't want to get in too deep about the guys who are unsure if they're going to visit. But one guy that we do know is going to be back in town this weekend is Ruben Bain, 4-star defensive lineman out of Miami. Has been one of Alabama's top defensive line targets for a pretty good while. And he has not visited Alabama since the summer. He took his official visit back in June. He had visited Alabama on two other occasions, which included last football season for a game. This is definitely somebody that they would love to add in this class. I think that with the way Miami's season has gone, it has really opened up the door for Alabama. Now, he really likes Auburn a lot. Been to Auburn twice this football season. Tigers are very high on his list, regardless of the coach. So definitely somebody that Alabama is going to have a chance to potentially win over, but we're going to have to just kind of wait and see how the weekend goes, with Ruben Bain and Tuscaloosa. But as we kind of always know, that Iron Bowl atmosphere is going to be electric. It's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of people there. There's going to be a lot of recruits there. There's going to be a lot of commitments there. A lot of guys who are going to be recruiting these guys, these top uncommitted guys, or even guys that are committed elsewhere. You've got most of your commitments that are going to be back in Tuscaloosa. Justice Haynes, Caleb Downs. You got a lot of top names. Richard Young. These are all guys who are very good at recruiting others and have spent a lot of time, recruiting guys when they've been on campus. So we'll see how the weekend goes.
Hanging out with Andrew Bone here on the Bamainsider YouTube channel. Guys, like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the bell. That's a way that you say Roll Tide. And that's also a way that you know when we're live with our shows. And we're on every day with something, whether it be coaches, Nick Saban press conferences. You hear from the players here. We have our shows, including Monday Night Quarterback, and then Tuesday with Andrew Bone. Friday, we'll be at Innisfree this week for the tailgate show. That's 6 to 8 after the game on Saturday. We'll be right back here, but we'll actually be on top of Westgate Luxury Condominiums taking your calls. We want you to be a part of that, and we want you to also go over to Bamainsider.com and be part of that as well. Bama on 3. As we cover all of this recruiting and transfers and everything else that's going on, the breaking news, all of the insight, the nuggets, that'll be there. $10 for a year, or you can just try it out $1 for 4 months. Bamainsider.com. All right, Bone, let me just kind of throw this out at you. And I'm just curious your thoughts on this. But yesterday there was the report that Lane Kiffin was going to go from Ole Miss to Auburn. Now, he's kind of denying it, although he's never really said that he's not. He just, it's been typical Lane Kiffin, right? But from a recruiting standpoint, when you see something like that potentially happen, or maybe, a Jimbo Fisher being out at the end of the year after a terrible season and Alabama having all those battles with Texas A&M, or Mike Leach retiring at the end of the year and Deion Sanders taking over down there. I mean, some of the stuff that could happen, right, that's realistic that would affect Alabama recruiting. As someone that's covered this for a long time, when these things are going on, what are your initial thoughts?
I mean, the initial thoughts are, wow, can they really get this guy? I'm just, you never know. With Auburn, it's always kind of interesting because over the course of the last decade, we've seen obviously a couple coaching changes, and it's never been the guy that that everybody assumed it was going to be. It was always kind of somebody else that ends up getting hired, and sometimes they're excited about it, sometimes they're not. But if they were able to get a person like Lane Kiffin to come in, I think the way that I've watched some Auburn games this year and seen the type of atmosphere that they provide, and you get a coach in there, like a Lane Kiffin, that is obviously a great offensive mind. Guy's going to score a lot of points and win some big games. I think that that would certainly help Auburn on the recruiting front, because you look at Auburn right now. I mean, they're not recruiting. They're not. They're recruiting. They're just not recruiting lights out. They're not, at the level of an Alabama or a Georgia or an Ohio State. They're just not considered in that category. Now, does a coach like Lane Kiffin coming in and hiring some great, coordinators or assistant coaches, guys who, I think with him being at Alabama, he knows you need great recruiters that are going to be on your staff that are going to go out there and get the job done. So I think that that's something that he would have to go out and do is get some great recruiters, because he can sell his offense, he can sell his program, but he's also got to sell himself and sell Auburn. So I think that, in my opinion, there's no way Cadillac Williams doesn't remain on that staff, regardless of who ends up getting hired as the coach. I think that's kind of the number one thing for them. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting because obviously with everything that's going on with Alabama this year, it's the worst year ever. They've lost 2 games. Things are going downhill. How many times have we kind of heard that before, through the last decade, just about how, the time's up for Alabama. And, the next year they end up, winning the national championship. So, who knows? I do think Alabama, will have to fight fire with fire. They're going to have to get some, they've got some great coaches. They've got some great assistants, some guys who've, been, named recruiter of the year and all that good stuff. But, they're going to have to continue to go out there and, continue to recruit at a high level. But they're also going to have to play at a high level. You've got guys like or programs like Auburn or Georgia or Tennessee or whoever it may be that are that are on the come up that that you're going to be having to face. You don't want to. You always want to stay up here. You don't want to just keep coming down and coming down. So I think Alabama's going to be able to do that. But with all these potential rumors that are going out there and coaching changes that are going to happen over the course of the next couple weeks, to me, it's just interesting and definitely something that you don't know how it's all going to play out, because we've seen a lot of different coaches that get hired and they excite the program and they're going to bring the programs back and all that stuff. I mean, remember a few years ago with Scott Frost when he got hired at Nebraska. I mean, that was apparently the hire of the decade, and I mean, I don't even know what Scott Frost is doing right now. Kind of the same with what's his name. I can't think of it. That got hired at Texas a couple of years ago. Was that Herman?
Oh yeah, Tom Herman. Yeah,
and people thought that that was going to change Texas, and it didn't. And so, or Charlie Strong when he got hired at Texas, kind of the same deal. So, yeah, you just don't know. I mean, a lot of these coaches are great coaches, but once they kind of get into a little bit of a bigger program and more pressure, how are they going to be able to handle it? So, that's always kind of the biggest question marks that you don't know. You don't know until, at least for a couple of years. So. Alabama's still going to be Alabama, in my opinion, with Nick Saban being there. And I think that even if we do see some coaching, staff turnover, in Tuscaloosa, which don't know who that's going to be just yet, but I do think coach is always going to go out there and try to find the best coaches possible to replace him, whether that's a coach leaving to go to another program or becoming a head coach or whatnot. So. We'll just have to kind of wait and see how it all plays out. But it's still Alabama. I think they're going to be fine.
Who do you expect to be, or there's some guys that you're looking for to make a decision soon that could affect Alabama?
Yeah, a lot of these kids, because we're so far kind of into the recruiting season, a lot of these guys are going to wait until that early signing period to decide. So December the 21st or the 23rd. Going to be huge. I think most of them are going to announce on the 21st. I think there's one guy that is currently expected to wait until the 22nd. And that's Desmond Ricks, the elite cornerback out of IMG. And we're going to see a lot of official visitors that are going to happen. It's going to take place. Here in December. So Alabama should be able to get some of its top guys on campus. But as far as upcoming decisions, guys who may decide in the next couple of weeks. Certainly looking at Jaron Hamilton, the guy we already talked about, the receiver out of Gainesville. I think there's a good chance that he's going to make a decision shortly after his trip to Tuscaloosa this upcoming weekend. David Hobbs, 5-star defensive lineman out of North Carolina, is going to be deciding on Friday. As of right now, I do think that Alabama is kind of falling a little bit behind. I do think it's I think it's a Tennessee Georgia recruiting battle. I'll probably give the edge to Tennessee there. I think they've been kind of in the driver's seat, for a good while. I think really especially after the Vols win against Alabama in Knoxville, he was there. He was out on the field. So I think Tennessee's had a pretty good lead with Hobbs since that visit. As far as some of these other guys who might be making decisions sometime soon, I felt like Arian Carter, 4-star linebacker out of Tennessee, was about to make a decision. He was expected to visit Alabama this weekend, still trying to decide if he's going to make it or not. Decommitted from Memphis last week, took an official visit to Ohio State. Michigan was expected to get him on campus, but has decided not to visit Michigan. As of right now, he's planning on visiting Alabama on December the 9th for his official, and is going to visit Tennessee the weekend before that. We'll see if anything potentially changes between now and then, but he's certainly somebody that I feel like Alabama is going to have a great chance to land. And kind of going back to Lane Kiffin a little bit. I mean, you look at him potentially taking the job at Auburn. What might that do for Centurion Perkins, the 4-star linebacker out of top 100 linebacker out of Mississippi. He's been committed to Mississippi for a long Mississippi, committed to Ole Miss for a long time. That's weird saying Mississippi.
Yeah, we knew what you meant, though, Bone.
I've never said that before. But his recruitment could completely change. If Lane Kiffin does take the job at Auburn, that could certainly open up the door a lot more for Alabama. But it would also be interesting to see, would he give Auburn a chance to potentially? I don't think he's ever even visited Auburn, but you just never know what may happen with any coaching changes. And like I always bring this up, but Jahad Campbell last year never visited Alabama, was committed to Clemson for forever. Brent Venables leaves, takes a head coaching job at Oklahoma, opens the door for Alabama. They get him on campus one time, and he goes ahead and commits. So, this I think something that obviously gets talked about, but probably doesn't get talked about enough, is all these coaching changes that we are going to see, no matter where they are. It's not just head coaches, it's coordinators, it's position coaches, it's area recruiters, it's guys that a lot of these recruits have built incredible relationships with throughout the entire process. And you always want a kid to make a decision based on, in my opinion, you make a decision based on a head coach, and off of the school, more so the school than the head coach. But this day and age, a lot of people, kind of understand, if you're a good assistant coach, if you're a good coordinator, you're going to have opportunities to go elsewhere. But you do build those relationships with those guys. You have a strong connection with them, and if those coaches potentially go somewhere that you might have interest in, it might make you take a second look at that school, or maybe take a visit to that school late in the process. So that stuff's going to happen. I think there's probably going to be some guys that we're not talking about right now, that we haven't even mentioned on the on the Bamainsider recruiting board, probably at all, that are going to pop up over the course of the next 3 or 4 weeks, that all of a sudden, man, Alabama might have a chance to get this guy. A lot of times you don't end up getting them, but they might sneak in for an official visit. Sometimes you end up getting them. So, we've seen that before. We saw that a few years ago. JoJo Earl flipping his commitment from LSU to Alabama. Jaden Roberts flipping his commitment from Auburn to Alabama. Keanu Coate, also another guy who flipped from LSU to Alabama. We've seen a lot of signing day flips, and a lot of it comes from getting in on kids kind of later in the process, or a coaching turnover or something like that. A kid decides to take a last minute trip, and you can win them over. So the next 4 weeks is going to be pretty interesting on the coaching front, on the recruiting front, and obviously on the Bama Insider front.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll have it all for you too. Make sure that you guys take the time, maybe for someone that you love, maybe someone that you like, you want to do something nice for the holidays. Give them a subscription to Bamainsider.com. As Cousin Eddie once famously said, it's the gift that keeps on giving all year round, except it's much better than the Jelly of the Month Club. This is all the great recruiting. It's all the coverage that you want from Alabama, the message board, all the fun, and it's not that expensive. They'll think that you really went out of your way, but we'll know, wink, wink, that it cost you $10 for an entire year to sign whoever up for Bamainsider.com. And Bama on 3, now that we're part of On 3. So do yourself a favor and or do someone else a favor and become part of it. Guys, we appreciate you being here with us on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. And Bone, before I close up shop, anything that you want to add on today's show that I missed?
I mean, I think we pretty much hit the nail on the head. We've got a lot of great content on Bamainsider.com right now. Obviously, you guys watch the show each week. You hear the kind of the latest recruiting nuggets, and kind of give you a glimpse of some of the guys that are going to be coming into Tuscaloosa. We've already we've got a lot going on Bamainsider.com. I wrote my piece today on each assistant coach who's got a lot of pressure on them over the course of the next few weeks. The guys that really need to deliver these big name targets down the home stretch, and kind of where things currently stand. We got our latest update with Tony Mitchell. We've got some other great interviews, but a lot more coming out on Bamainsider.com throughout the week. We got a recruiting battle story between Alabama and Auburn that's going to drop tomorrow. The new rankings just dropped. We'll have kind of our 10 things that Alabama fans should be thankful for on the recruiting side of things. And we also have our early list of top recruits who are going to be visiting Alabama this weekend. We mentioned some names on here, but that's the complete list right there. So every guy who has said that they are coming and we have confirmed, it's all right there on Bama Insider. So go check it out.
All right, Bone. And finally, let's talk Thanksgiving. What's a Thanksgiving like at the Bone residence? What kind of food you guys doing? Do you start watching the Christmas movies? Does Miss Bone throw up the Christmas tree? I mean, now you're a dad. Give us the Bone Thanksgiving.
The Bone Thanksgiving. Well, it's kind of different because we've got to have a couple. We have a couple different Thanksgivings because my wife's parents are divorced, so we have to go to one place and then we got to go to another. Mm-hmm. Now my parents, they'll end up coming up, but yeah, I mean we'll have a good time. We'll have Thanksgiving at my mother-in-law's house. I'm actually at my father-in-law's lake house right now. If you haven't seen the background, is a little different than my normal.
I don't see the Daniel Moore prints back there.
That's right. He's probably got some around here somewhere. But yeah, I mean, we'll have a great feast on Thursday, and then.
What will that feast consist of, Bone? Are you guys turkey or ham people, or pork?
I mean, come on. We're ham people. I mean, we'll have some turkey, but I'm always kind of a ham guy. I mean, we'll have all the best fixings around. I mean, everything's homemade. I mean, my mom, she does a great job. My mother-in-law does a great job. My wife's grandmother, she does a tremendous job as well. My mom doesn't cook a lot, but she cooks like 3 things. And she cooks them like almost perfect. I mean, potato salad, sweet potato casserole, and bread pudding. That's like the only 3 things that I've ever had from her that she's ever cooked. Deprived, I guess. But
are there any 5-star cooks though, or dishes that are part of the Bone Thanksgiving?
Well, that's it, man.
That's it, huh?
Those are the sweet potato casserole, mac and cheese, and beans, and man. We kind of have it all, and we got. I always try to save some room for leftovers, but I mean our second plate. But man, everybody I think on Thanksgiving you go through the buffet line and just pile your plate up as much as you can, and you try to eat as much as you can, and then you realize, man, I got too much food, but. I do my best every single year, and I'll do my best again to try to eat it all. And because you know what,
you got to do that, Bone.
The people prepared it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rude to. It's just rude not to eat it all.
It's rude to diet during Thanksgiving.
So yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a good time tonight. But we're also going to have a good time on Thanksgiving. But we're also, like I said, we're also working. This is a working week. It's the Iron Bowl week. We're going to have content on Bama Insider. So when you're full, after you eat for lunch or for dinner, whatever it is, you go to Bama Insider and get fresh content because we're going to be posting. We'll be posting stories throughout the day on Thursday and Friday on Bama Insider to get ready for the Iron Bowl.
Nice. So we'll have a Thanksgiving feast of information. And also, Bone, I ask you this every week. Maybe I'm being redundant, but hopefully we'll see you again for the Bama Insider Tailgate Show on Friday.
Where are you going to be?
Going to be at Innisfree with your good friend and my good friend Trip Rogers and all the great people at Innisfree. It's dangerous. Now, look, 1:00 on Friday, I'm going to Unique to watch the U.S. soccer team probably lose to England after their performance yesterday, which has sickened me. and that draw that they had with Wales. But no one likes soccer more than Coleman. I mean, I didn't even know Coleman and watched the World Cup with him years ago, So now we're good friends, and then we'll swing over to Innisfree for the show. So if you're in town, swing by.
We're still trying to decide what we're doing. We are going down for the game, but I don't know if we're going to be in Tuscaloosa on Friday or Saturday. But if we make it down there on Friday, I'll be sure to find you.
Yeah, in person. But we want to have you on the show one way or the other, Bone. So anyway, well, great job. And Chris behind the scenes, always awesome work. And for Kyle Henderson, I'm Mick Gillespie, reminding you guys once again before we get off that we appreciate you being here. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Make sure that you are part of what we're doing. Like and subscribe to the Bama Insider YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up, bang the bell. That way we know that you're there with the thumbs up and your way of saying Roll Tide. And then the bell, obviously, when we go live, you'll know that as well. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Don't eat too much, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday at 8.
Happy Thanksgiving.